On my last video, a lady called Danielle Stanworth left a comment asking about recipe book recommendations. So I thought I'd quickly show you the books we most use at the moment. And I'm going to do them in sort of order of how much we use them. So I've got about 7 books here, I think. So the first one is one I talk about all the time, and it's Keep It Vegan by Amy Carlin. We use this every week, I'd say, and there's some recipes we come back to all the time, and then we occasionally try something different as well. I've made quite a few videos of recipes from this book, so if you have a look in my playlists, you'll see a vegan playlist there, and there's quite a few recipes from this book in there. But I'll show you a couple of the recipes we use quite a lot. So the first one is the stuffed mushroom burgers. We have this quite a lot, and it has wedges, potato wedges with it, with a mustard sort of glaze. Really quite an easy recipe to make, and yeah, we really like this recipe, and we sort of alter it occasionally, put some different things in it, different types of wedges with it and things. Yeah, so that's a really good one. And another one we use quite a lot, not every week, but maybe once a month, is the fudgy brownie recipe. You can see I've used it quite a lot. It's a really nice recipe, really easy to make from store cupboard kind of ingredients. So yeah, it's sort of my go-to cake recipe a lot of the time, and I did a video on that as well. So yeah, that's a couple of my favourites from this book. The next book is the second book from Amy Carlin, and it's called The New Vegan. I would say we use this book less than her first book, but there are some nice recipes in it, and we have used it quite a lot. So a couple of recipes we have used. Green lentil and spinach curry. That's quite a nice one. We've used this quite a few times. It's one of our go-to recipes. And this one we've actually used a lot, and I've made some notes on it. I do that quite a lot in cookbooks, just make little notes against the recipes. So this is the aduku bean casserole, and it's got sweet potato sort of on the top, and that's a really nice meal. We found it a little bit too sort of spicy, so I've just made a note to put less chilli flakes in. I tend to experiment quite a lot with these recipes and change them a little bit, so I do make notes and change them occasionally. But yeah, that's another really good book. I would personally say buy the first one, her Keep It Vegan book first. The Keep It New Vegan book does have some good information if you're new to veganism, want to know about sort of the reasons she became vegan and things you can eat. So it's quite good for a read. But the Keep It Vegan book has more recipes and more that I find useful. Probably a personal preference, but that's my sort of recommendation. The next book is The River Cottage Veg Every Day by Hugh Fearnley-Whitstall. This book was from a Channel 4 programme quite a few years ago now, called River Cottage Veg. It's quite a good programme, quite good to watch if you can find it on Channel 4 OD in the UK. As you can see, we've used this quite a lot. I've had to retape all the spine because it was all coming apart. And there's quite a few recipes in here we've used. I use the bread recipe quite a lot. It's quite a simple and quick one, although I have changed the way I use it. I put less strong flour in it, and I tend to use wholemeal flour quite a lot in my bread, just because it makes it a bit of a lighter loaf. It makes it quite dense if you put the full amounts it says in here. yeah, so I use that quite a lot. There was a mushroom and spinach lasagna, sorry, kale and mushroom lasagna that we've used quite a lot. And we've just sort of veganised it by changing the butter to sort of vegan margarine, and the I think there's milk in it somewhere. Yeah, so there's a few different ways of sort of veganising some of them. Nice photography in here. It's a good book. A lot of the River Cottage books are quite good. So yeah, quite a good book. Just have to sort of make your way through it yourself and tweak the recipes, but they're quite easily changed, these recipes. It's quite nice ideas in here. There's also a book called River Cottage Fruit. And I don't tend to use many recipes out of it, but it's good for ideas. It's quite nice having fruit in your main meals. And I don't know why we don't more, really. I think the recipes in that are quite meat heavy, but it's quite good to get some inspiration from. So that's a reasonable book to have a flick through as well. Next on the list is The Vegan Cookbook by Adele McConnell. We use this not every week, but we do occasionally flick through this book. It's got some quite good ideas in it. There's a few recipes we have used a lot. This is one of them that we've used quite a few times. It's coconut and red lentil dal. As you can see, the page is quite messy, so we've obviously used that a lot, that book. Yeah, it's quite an easy recipe, and again we've tweaked this recipe quite a bit to our tastes. But yeah, really nice one. Another good book with well set out with good ingredients list and description and stuff. There's another one we've used a lot. A slow cooked smoky gumbo. So yeah, we made a few alterations of our own, and yeah, quite like that. It's quite nice when they have decent pictures in books, so you can see what it's supposed to look like. It's quite good photography in this book. Yeah, so it's one to check out. There's probably not loads of recipes in here, but there's certainly sort of 10 or so that we've used. Next is the Deliciously Ella books. These two are ones we flick through when we're doing our shopping quite a lot, but I don't tend to find loads in them. The everyday one doesn't look like we've hardly used it, to be honest. It's pretty clean. So I don't find a lot in that one for us. I think there is maybe one or two bits we've tried in there. But yeah, I can't see many. We've tried that and didn't get on well with that one, and I made a note in there. Yeah, so personally not a huge fan of that one, although there's a couple of things in there. The first one is better. I find a lot of the recipes in this book are good, they're a good base, but I tend to have to tweak them to our taste a little bit. They're often quite spicy, use a lot of chili and spice that we do quite like in a lot of recipes, but I don't know, just don't always go with some of the meals. So like that curry, that soup in the other one was a bit too creamy. Yeah, so anyway, we do change the recipes quite a lot in this book, but the sort of basic ideas of them, the recipes are quite good. And then, for example, in this book we've used this falafels recipe. I think we've used that quite a few times, and we've used it's black and kidney bean chili, so that's quite a nice recipe. And also this lentil bolognese we've done a few times, and it's quite a nice recipe. So yeah, if you're happy to sort of tweak the recipes, there's certainly some nice ideas in here. Like the sort of general theme of the book, sort of ingredients she uses, but definitely use the sort of Amy Carlin one more. The final book I'm going to share with you today is A Vegan Taste of Mexico. This book, I'm not sure where we heard or found this book. I guess just found it on Amazon. We do use it quite a lot. There's not any photography in it, so it's quite hard to see what things are supposed to look like. And it's not really a description of what the meal is either. It just goes straight into the ingredients and how to make it. So it's a bit harder to use like that when you're trying to sort of do your shopping list. But saying that, there are some nice recipes in here. Probably use this book more than a lot of the other ones we've got, even though it's quite basic. And there's a lot of sort of recipes in here are probably more authentic Mexican than a lot of the sort of more mainstream books. So I've just flicked through and found this one, for instance, a cheese in commas and vegetable dish, and it looks like we've made that a few times. I put 10 out of 10 on the page, so it must have been good. I think when we made it, we literally didn't even bother with the vegan cheese because we haven't actually found one that's any good, and I'm not really a fan of using substitute foods anyway. But yeah, definitely some good ones in there if you can find that. It's a nice book. It's good for sort of some of these different rice dishes as well. There's a green rice we've made a few times. Different types of rice you can make to go with meals. Salsas. So yeah, that's quite good. Just if you want to find accompaniments and different Mexican foods. Yeah, so that's quite a good one. I like that book. Yeah, so that's my little pile of some of our books, some of the ones we use a lot. Obviously there's loads of others that we use as well, but these are sort of the main go-to ones. And yeah, I hope that helps. Hope that's gives you a place to start if you're looking for some vegan and vegetarian cooking. Yeah, let me know if there's any that you use that we haven't seen. I'm sure there's plenty out there that we're not aware of. And it's always good. We're always looking for new things. We don't eat the same thing every week. We always try and find something new to try. So yeah, always on the lookout for different stuff.